Hi guys, I'm back with another video, and today again something a bit different. Taking a look at a Mezco 112 collective figure. Um, right here we have the Green Goblin from Marvel, and I just got this figure, and I do collect Mezco. I have a probably what I would probably consider by most a smallish Mezco collection. When I was first getting into higher end figures years ago, I was kind of big into Mezco, but since then I've downsized my collection a bit, and I don't get too many Mezco figures unless they really do something for me. Either they're something really cool about them, or usually it has to be a character I really like. Like last year, I only got the Mr. Freeze figure because I really like Mr. Freeze, one of my favorite Batman villains, and I thought the figure was really cool. But this year they've already gotten me once. I got their Doctor Doom, and that figure might be my second favorite Mezco figure in my collection. It's really good. I don't know if I'll review it or not, but it's a really awesome figure. And I just got this one as well. I don't know if I'd say on the fence with this one. I held off on this one for just a while because I really like the Green Goblin. He's probably one of my favorite supervillains from comics ever. Spider-Man's my favorite hero, and the Green Goblin's right up there with one of my favorite villains, Norman Osborn, all that jazz. But I already have the old Absorbman Legends Green Goblin, which I still really like. And this figure is expensive. Canadian, it's like $150 Canadian. There is reasons for its being so expensive because Mezcos in general, like another reason why I just don't buy too many Mezcos anymore. They're just really expensive now. You used to like get them for like 80, $100 Canadian. Granted, a lot of them back then didn't come with as much accessories that they pump into them now, but still they were significantly cheaper and now they're not. But anyways, enough rambling. I thought we'd take a look at this because he isn't really cool. However, he's not perfect. But here is the Green Goblin, and they definitely went full like classic for the Green Goblin here. They feel like Mezco's been doing it less and less, but Mezco used to do kind of their own takes on the characters, kind of Mezcoify the designs of the characters. I definitely have some figures from that era of Mezco where they didn't go pure comic reference for their designs. But this one, I'm not like super familiar with like classic golden age of comics, but this is pure classic Green Goblin to me. He's got the bright purple with the bright green, the scaled suit. It's screams classic, but also works in your modern display because let's be honest, the Green Goblin's main line or main universe outfit has not changed much over the years. But taking a look at the head sculpt, he does have several. So this is just the first one, the one that comes on him in the packaging, with just this nice, really maniacal looking grin here. And I absolutely love the head sculpts. I think a big selling point for this figure is honestly the different head sculpts. They look absolutely phenomenal. It's a little hard to see maybe on my camera, but there is like different shadings of green to really bring out the details of the sculpt there. The eyes are fairly simple looking, but they're effective. I think they look a lot better than that Retro Legends Green Goblin that they released in, I don't know, a couple of years ago maybe. It's getting reissued. I think the eyes look a lot better on this one. The hat looks nice, and you got some decent sculpting on it, and he's got it kind of waving, and the stitching, sculpted stitching and whatnot looks really good. You got the big ears. They are somewhat softer plastic, so you shouldn't really have too much worries about them snapping or anything like that. And even underneath in the neck there, he's got the scaling armored suit underneath there, but this one is sculpted, it's not fabric. And then on the torso, you do have this like pleathery material piece. Out of everything on this figure, this would be the thing I'd probably be worried about the most in terms of wear and tear. I don't think it'll have any issues. It seems pretty durable, and I have other figures that use pleather on Mezco. I have the 112 Blade. He has a full pleather trench coat. I've had him in a decently dynamic pose for a long time now, and I haven't seen any issues with that, so I don't think there'll be any issues with this. But it looks good. You do have a really simple, just purple belt there around his waist, and you can see the scaling there looks really nice. It is a fairly stretchy material, so it shouldn't hinder any articulation, and I don't think it should damage very easily. But of course, with these figures, you want to be careful anyways. The sculpt of the gloves look nice. There's not actually a whole lot to talk about. The little points on the boots, they look good, but it's pretty simple. Like I said, it's pretty much pure classic, and it's a pretty simple design. There's not a whole lot to talk about. here, but it does look really nice, and I like that the plastic bits and the cloth bits, I think, meld pretty well together. Sometimes on Mezco figures, the plastic parts and the fabric pieces, I feel sometimes don't synergize too well together, but I feel like here it's pretty seamless. Like, obviously the gloves and the boots aren't fabric, but at a distance, they look like they're about the same as the torso, or they look like they fit the overall look. So I do like that quite a bit. And I do like that the head sculpts are, well, obviously they're plastic, but they look different because they should be made of a different material out of the rest of his outfit anyways. But yeah, not a whole lot else to talk about look-wise. You can kind of see he does have kind of the seam line for the outfit on the back, but you're not going to notice that because I imagine most people will be displaying him facing forward. In terms of articulation, you do have a dumbbell joint at the neck as well as I think the base of the neck as well. So he does actually look up a good amount, looks down a fair bit. Pretty good amount of pivot, so quite expressive, which is really good for this character. Shoulder joints can go probably about that far. I don't really want to force it any further, but that's pretty good. There's rotation there. There's a swivel at the bicep. There's a double hinge at the elbow. It moves really far forward, and maybe be a little bit careful with the elbow, but I don't think there's going to be too much issue of damage. I think there's a swivel cut. Yeah, there's a swivel cut at the base of the glove there. And you have like the universal wrist joints where you can go rotation, then up and down or in and out, depending on how you have the joint positioned. One of my main gripes with the figure, and I've seen with a lot of people with this figure, is he doesn't have a great torso articulation. So there is a torso joint up there. It does move a bit, but it only crunches just a little bit forward. It goes back a bit. You can get slight pivot, and there's a bit of a twist, but I don't want to really twist it or go too crazy with it because of the pleather outfit on the torso, and also there just isn't a whole lot of range in this joint. I assume it's the joint and maybe a bit the fabric restricting it, but it does make getting some poses, and especially getting poses on the Goblin glider, a little awkward, and I do wish he had a bit more posability in the torso there. Not a huge deal for me, or it's not a deal breaker for me, but it is definitely something worth mentioning. You do have hip joints. They are kind of interesting to go so far, and then once you go a certain way forward, they're almost like a, not like a click, but like you can, it like jumps forward a bit to get like extra like movement forward, I guess, which is really nice for getting him on the glider. There is some rotation there, or like a full rotation at the upper thigh there. It won't go all the way around because of the fabric, obviously, but you get quite a bit of movement there. A double joint at the knee, which bends really far. Maybe looks a little awkward if it's bent all the way, but it's not too bad. A swivel at the boot, and then you have they have like a dumbbell joint at the ankles on Mezcos, so you get a little bit of up. I wish there was a little more up articulation, I won't lie. Down, ankle pivot, and rotation. I also kind of wish there was a little more pivot. It's not too bad. And then he has peg holes at the bottom of his feet, which are important for this figure. But yeah, I think your pose is pretty good. You can get some pretty decent posing. I did post a little collage of poses of this figure on my Instagram, so if you want to take a look at that, there's a link in the description of this video to go check that out if you want to see what this guy can do articulation-wise. But yeah, I guess now next to go to accessories, which is definitely the strongest part of this figure. He comes with a ton of stuff. So I guess first, he does come with every Mezco. You get the little accessory baggie, which is always appreciated. You also, of course, get your standard Mezco display base, the circular disc base, which can either have the peg or you can have the articulated arm, which is probably what I'm going to use because I'm going to have them on the glider. Has a nice green Goblin logo there. These stands are really great. I think they're some of the best stock stands that come with figures. The base is nice and large, so it gives a lot of support. The arms are a nice size, the joints are tight and can be adjusted to be tighter if you need them to be, and have a lot of posability. These are really great, so that's cool. You also get a bunch of hands. You do have the two closed fists on the figure itself. Bear with me here because there's a lot of hands and accessories. You get a pair of relaxed open hands, and all the hands are pretty easy to swap. You get a pair of like dynamic open hands, for lack of a better term. You get a pair of finger pointing hands, which are cool and do have another purpose, which I'll show in a moment. You have these two kind of hands, which is him kind of like holding or flicking certain accessories. And interestingly, they look like they'd be the same, but the left side, or no, sorry, the right side has an actual bit of a wider grip for some reason. I don't know why one's a little different from the other, but yeah, they're almost a pair. Technically two different ones though. Then you get a pair of these like open like clawed hands, which you can use for holding pumpkin bombs. And then you get a left kind of tight gripping hand and this a right, I guess another like style of open gesturing hand. So a lot of hands, which is always nice to have all these options. It makes the figure very expressive. Of course, you got to have his man purse, the satchel here. The strap is actually wired, which is pretty interesting. So when you put it on the figure, you can actually kind of like shape it to his body, which is nice. You can open this. There's a magnet there to keep it together, but you can't open it. It just has this little foam piece to keep the shape. But I mean, you could take the foam piece out, and I guess you could store stuff in there. I don't know if it would fit pumpkin bombs. I feel like it'd be a little. Well, maybe you could. Let's maybe take that out. It does come with pumpkin bombs. I guess we'll cover that now. Before I show that, you do get 6 normal pumpkin bombs. You get 3 of these smiley ones, and then you get 3 of these Angie ones. And I just want to see if you can put them in the. Oh yeah, you can actually store the pumpkin bombs in the satchel. I might actually do that. Might as well. That's literally what they're for, right? He stores his pumpkin bombs. So you can store. It looks like you can store 4 comfortably. Maybe you could stuff 5 in there. That's. Nah, okay, I wouldn't put 4 or 5 in there, but you can comfortably store 4 of the pumpkin bombs in the satchel. So that's actually kind of cool. I'll probably do that just for fun, even though the little foam piece achieves the same look. But you can put that on the figure, just pop the head off, or that's the easiest way to do it. Just put it around his arm, over his shoulder. Pop the head back on, and then you can use the wire at your leisure to adjust it to his body if you want. But that looks pretty cool, like that. It does flop around a little bit when you're posing, but you can just readjust it once you're done doing your posing. But I mentioned the pumpkins that don't have effects. There is 2 pumpkins that do have effects. You have a pumpkin that has a smoking effect, where like it's armed, which is cool. And then you have one where it's flaming all out of the mouth and the eyes. And these 2 are super, super cool. I really like these a lot. And you can take the clawed gripped hands, and these are the hands that are supposed to hold these. Now I will say you kind of got to finagle with it a bit to get into the hand securely. But you know, once you do have it in there, it won't move. So maybe I can show that on the figure real quick. There we go. There he is holding the pumpkin bomb. So that looks very cool. Very happy with that. Let's keep the hand on him for now, I guess. You also get 3 of these, like, I'm going to call them batarangs. Obviously, they're not batarangs because he's not Batman, but it's basically the same thing. 3 blades, throwing blades that look like bats. They're in this, like, cool, like, cyan blue color. And to hold these, you want to take those kind of interesting, pointy gripping hands I was talking about. And you can kind of work it in between his fingers, and that's how you can kind of get him to hold that. And I think that looks pretty good. And I guess you could store those in the satchel too if you wanted to. I'm not going to, but you could. And then what do we want to talk about next? Talk about a couple of the other effect parts that you get for the hands. So with the same hand, let's put it on his arm here. You put this hand on, and then you actually get an effect to make it look like he's throwing the razor, the blade, like so. And that's kind of pretty cool. That's pretty cool, but it is a little weird looking, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of odd the way it's, I don't know, sculpted. It looks like he's throwing it downwards or something. Maybe it just had to pose it to make it look better. You can get poses. It can look okay, but yeah. Not my favorite of the effect parts. I probably won't use it, but it is cool that you get the option to make it look like he's throwing them. There you go. take it out. Another effect that you get that we need to put another hand on for, if you take the pointing finger hand, you can give him the finger pointing sparkle blast effect on there that you usually see goblins, Green Goblin, other goblins have. I think I put it on upside down. It just sticks onto the finger there, and I think that looks really, really cool. I like how the effect has a little bit of darker orange and lighter colors kind of sprinkled in there. Give it some variety. Looks really nice. And I guess I'm going to swap this hand out again. Just put a normal hand on there. You do get a couple of other hands that have effect parts attached to them where he looks like he's throwing stuff. So they all go on the left side. So you pop that off. Obviously, the one that you could have probably guessed is he does come with one where he is throwing the pumpkin bomb, and I think that one looks really cool. Pop that off. You do these other two, I assume they're from the classic comics. I have never seen the Green Goblin use these. I don't know where they're from, but they're kind of goofy. But you have this one where he's throwing a little ghost, which is nicely painted and sculpted, but it's really random. I assume it just blows up, but maybe it does something else special. If anyone knows, let me know. That is some comics I'm not familiar with. And then the other one is he throws a toad. And this one's also pretty cool looking, pretty different looking. Again, though, pretty goofy. I'm not familiar with him throwing toads at people, but I mean, I assume it happened because they included his accessory. So those are all very cool options. I'm going to put where's the tight grip hand at? I'm going to put the tight grip hand on him. Like I mentioned earlier, he does come with 5 different head sculpts in total. We've seen just the normal grinning masked sculpt so far, but you can just pop that off. Oops. And he does come with 2 other masked sculpts. So you have this one where he is grinning, evil grin, which I think looks really cool. Also, the hat is sculpted a bit differently. It's a bit straighter, which I think is cool they did that. They didn't just make the hat the same for all of them. That's nice. I think that looks really nice. And then maybe my favorite of the mask sculpts, I'm not sure. But you gotta have a laughing sculpt for the Green Goblin. And I think that looks really nice. The tongue and the teeth and gums and everything in there looks really good. And just looks really maniacal and evil. I love that. Looks great. But it doesn't stop there because we do also get 2 unmasked Norman head sculpts, which were actually a pretty big selling point for me with this figure because I thought they looked really good. You have a just stern Norman, which I think looks really nice, waves and all. The eyes look pretty good. I think they're a very, very dim green. I've seen some people say they're gray. I don't think they're gray. I think his eyes are a dim green. I do wish maybe they're a bit of a brighter green, but it still looks pretty good. But that looks really nice. And then this might be my favorite head sculpt out of all of them. This is another unmasked Norman sculpt, but he's completely lost his marbles. He's completely deranged. One eye's open more than the other. The teeth are all bared, and he's just like almost snarling. Like he's just completely lost it. I absolutely love this head sculpt. I think it looks super, super cool. But pop this off. We'll put the default one back on for now. Although I'll bring back those other ones later. And then not the last accessory, we still got a little bit to go, but the last kind of the handheld accessory and whatnot, he also does actually come with an empty mask that he can hold, which I think is a super cool accessory. You have the unmasked Norman sculpt on, you have him holding the mask, and I think that's a very nice feature. It's hollowed out a little bit. There's a little spot where you can see you're supposed to hold it, and you do use the tight grip hand to get him to hold it. And yeah, that is very cool feature. Then lastly, the rest of the stuff he comes with is in relation to the Goblin glider. So yes, he does come with a Goblin glider. I mean, he has to. It's the Green Goblin. And simplistic design, but looks really good, and obviously fits with the aesthetic of the figure itself. But nice silver paint, and you've got a bit of a black wash or like panel lining to bring out the bit of sculpt detail that is there, which is really nice. And you can see kind of how big it is. It's not too big, but it's not too small either. The spots where it attaches to his feet, it pegs in, then you flip these little clamps over his feet, which I think works pretty well. He also has this little extending handle, which is cool that they included that, but it is really tough to get him to actually hold it when he's on the glider because of the lack of that ab crunch, and just some of the articulation limitations just make that really tough to do. The wings articulate a little bit, and I do like the moving pistons on the bottom. That's very cool. And they can move them a little bit. I kind of wish the wings had a little more range of movement, though. I will say they don't move as much as I thought they would. On the bottom here, you can see there's two kind of empty hole spots. There's two types of things you can put in there. So if you're gonna have them on the display base, you can just put the normal turbines on. I'm not gonna put them in because another kind of small gripe I have with this figure is these turbines, these normal flat ones, are super hard to get out because there's no good way to get any grip on them. You gotta try to get under them. I don't have like fingernails right now, and like I had to try to I had these on already, and to get them off, I had to pry use my Swiss Army knife to get a little tool underneath to pick them off, and I don't want to have to keep doing that because I'm gonna start digging away at the paint. So I kind of wish there was a better way to make these attach, maybe via magnet or something. I don't know, but it is nice you have the option. But you do have those removable ones because you get alternate ones that have these little effect parts that have it look like he's launching off of the ground. So they just plug. Let me see. Yeah, that's on the right side. You can plug these in, and these ones are obviously easier to get out because you have something that you can actually hold on to for leverage. But you can plug those on, fold the wings down, and then you have the Goblin glider kind of launching off of the ground. I will try to get the Green Goblin onto the glider. I'm just going to pause so I don't have to waste too much time here. I'm already taking a lot of time. Well, I got the Green Goblin onto the glider, and this looks really cool. And as you can see, you can articulate it enough where he can hold the handle. It is not super hard, to be honest, but I do kind of worry for like the crotch area of this pleather spot. It is crunching it up a little bit. I mean, I'm okay with it creasing. I'm going to be posing this guy. I'm not too worried about creasing, but I just hope it doesn't actually tear. It probably won't, but something to keep your eye out for, I guess. But this does look really cool, and I do like you can get him to hold it. But like I said, if you had, his torso is pretty straight, and if you did have more articulation to be able to crunch more, it'd be a lot easier and look a bit more natural as well. Because this is also about as far as I can get him to look up. It's not too bad, but he could look up a little more, I guess. But that looks really nice, and you do get another effect part here, which you can actually put into the thruster in the back. It's a little on the tight side, not too bad though, and then you can give it the thruster for it to be, flying. And then I think that is actually it for the accessories. It took a long time to get through that, but like I said, this figure comes with an absolute ton of stuff. But yeah, there he is on the glider. So I guess now I'll just wrap things up with some comparisons real quick, and then we should be done. So now quickly do some comparisons. I guess the main one is with the Absorbing Man Marvel Legends Green Goblin that I have. And these two definitely go for two different looks. The Marvel Legends one is a bit more modern with that more chainmail looking armor, the darker colors. But I still really like the Legends one. Like, I'm not going to get rid of it or anything. It's going to stay on my Legends shelf, and the Mezco one will go with my Mezco figures. Because I still like this one a lot. I like the boots design in this one better. I like the color, darker colors a bit better, to be honest. I still think the head sculpt in this one's really cool as well. It's still a really nice figure. And if you're happy with it, you have this one, you're happy with this one, this is still a solid choice for a Green Goblin. I don't have it anymore, but I used to have the more modern looking Marvel Select Green Goblin, and aside from that one not being able to scale with Legends because it's 7-inch scale, that one's also a pretty good choice as well. So if you have that one, you're happy with that one, it's not too bad. Here he is with a Spider-Man. I don't have the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, but I do have the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. And Green Goblin's actually just a little bigger than this Spider-Man. That's probably about right. I could see Norman being a bigger guy than Peter Parker, so I think this works okay. I don't have the Mezco Spider-Man that released this year. I don't know if I'll get that figure or not. I'm not the biggest fan of the super classic Spider-Man look, but we'll see. I might get it. I haven't decided yet. Then one other thing I wanted to compare, which doesn't actually need the figure, I just wanted to compare the actual Norman sculpt with a recent Legend Norman sculpt. This is the recent Cabal 3-pack Iron Patriot, where we got a unhelmeted Norman sculpt, which I think looks pretty good. It definitely has the green eyes that I wish that the Mezco had, but here is the Mezco sculpt. The Mezco head sculpt is definitely a lot bigger. I think they're both good, but I definitely prefer the two that come with the Mezco. I think they just have a bit more emotion in them, a bit more Norman-like. He seems almost a bit too calm with the Legend sculpt, but it's still pretty good. But overall, that's pretty much it. I think this is an awesome figure. Not perfect, of course. It has some issues, but if you can get through those issues, if you like this look of Green Goblin, I think it's the best Green Goblin figure, posable figure you can get right now. I think it is better than every Legends Green Goblin, every Select Green Goblin, any other articulated Green Goblins. I think this one's the best. Unless you really don't like the classic look, then it might not be for you. Like I said, the other figures that are out there are still pretty good. I still like the Legends one a lot. I still think the Select one's pretty decent, so it's kind of up to you. This one is a lot more expensive, so I get it not being maybe fully on board because of that. But he looks great. For the most part, articulates pretty well and has an absolute ton of accessories. So it's a recommend for me if you're interested. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. And let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video.